We can see all of the Sock Week sponsors revealed and products together. This bird is very close. Hey everyone, it's Natalie, also known as Knitty Natty. Welcome to episode 229 of the Love and Stitches podcast. Today I am coming to you from Eugene, Oregon. And if you recognize this tree, this space, it's because I was here just a few months ago filming a podcast at this exact picnic table. I am in Hendricks Park, and it is such a beautiful park. You drive through this neighborhood and you just like go up and up and up to get here, and it's really, really pretty. We just decided we would come back here since we were driving through. You're definitely going to hear maybe a few cars passing by, definitely some birds. The birds are loud. And also I'm kind of working in between mowers that I'm hearing. We kind of waited them out for about 30 minutes. I don't hear them right now. Might have to take a pause if there are more mowers going on and about, but that is just par for the course when you're filming outside. It's a lovely day. I think it's warmed up to about 50 degrees right now, but I am wearing my hat. This is the Manhattan hat by Tori Yu, and I finished it a few weeks ago, and I have been wearing it a ton. I mean, not in the last week as much, because like a week ago, it was 95 degrees where we were. And now we're waking up and it's in the 30s and the 40s. So it's getting a lot more use than I thought it would in May, but I am happy about that since it's a new finish. Before we get into the episode, I want to say a big thank you to Craftsy for being a returning sponsor of the podcast. Craftsy is an online community and resource where millions of crafters, makers, and DIY enthusiasts find creative inspiration, advance their skills, and learn new ones along the way. Craftsy offers more than 2,000 classes in over 20 popular categories like crochet, knitting, woodworking, painting, photography, and more. Lately, I've been looking through the cooking section to get more ideas for easy dinners that we can make in the van. Classes are broken down into easy to follow lessons and led by award-winning instructors. You're probably going to see some familiar faces on the knitting and crochet pages too. As a member, you'll have 24/7 access to Craftsy's classes, as well as live tutorials and Q&As led by Craftsy's expert instructors. My offer for Craftsy was so popular last time that they've agreed to extend it again. The first 1,000 of my subscribers to use the link in the description will get access to a full year of Craftsy's premium subscription for just $1.49. Thanks again to Craftsy for being a returning supporter of the podcast. And now, back to the episode. First up today, I have a finished object to share with you. So during the month of May, we are doing the cozy along. So any of my yarn and beverage cozy patterns, plus Knit California or Leslie's e-reader cozy is going to be part of this. We are going to be pulling some prices very, very soon, and then again at the end of the month. So make sure to join us for that. And you can also join our Discord, which you can find the link in my Instagram bio. I'll try to remember to include it in the YouTube description as well. But I have finished another yarn cozy light. This is the 100-gram size, and this yarn I got to include in my Hexie Blanket. I got it when I was in Utah. Is that right? Yeah, Utah. I got it when I was in Utah at Pettifor's and Pearls, and this is, okay, lots of things to remember. I had it in my head. Candy Shop yarns. This one didn't come with a label because it came in a really cute box already caked up, which I just love. And this is called Royal Ruby, and it's a really pretty color, and it crocheted up beautifully, and it also knit up really, really nicely. So this was kind of my take-along project slash hiking project for the last week or so, but I wanted to do something, a little bit of nature in there. I wanted to do something a little bit different with this cozy and test out a wrist loop. So that's what I did. Now, eventually I'm gonna have modifications for the I-cord included in the yarn cozy patterns, but until I kind of get them tested out, like I wanna actually take this out and use it, I am not going to add them in there, but I am putting them in my project page. So if you want to take this and run with it, it'll be in the project page, and then I will be adding it to the patterns. Like if you already have the pattern, you will just get this modification. So basically what I did is I started the I-cord bind off going around, and then when I got close-ish to the end, I didn't want it to be all the way at the end because I didn't want this to be weakened by the sewn part at the end of the I-cord, like where you sew the two ends together. But I also didn't want it to be all the way towards the beginning because if or when this does stretch out, and I want to be able to like easily take it back and pull a few rows out or shorten it or lengthen it or whatever, and it be easy and not have to take out my entire bind off. So I went about halfway on this one, and then I just stopped doing the bind off part and I started just knitting the 3 stitches, sliding them back, knitting the 3 stitches, sliding them back, and just doing a regular I-cord. I did this for about 10 inches, I think. It will kind of depend on your hand and your wrist, and then also like what you're wanting to do. I mean, you can make this as long as a shoulder strap if you really wanted to, or you can make it even shorter. Like if you just wanted to do a little clip, you could just do it real short. So I made it long enough to go over my hand. So now if I want to, I could carry my cozy just like that. But I thought it would also work to kind of attach to something. So like I could attach it to a belt loop, I could attach it to the mesh part of like the back of an airplane and I know this is going to be hard to show. Actually, maybe I can show it on this bag. So really onto anything, if you put the loop around like this and don't put your yarn in yet, throw the cozy through like that, right? So now it's attached on here, and then you put your yarn in. And then of course to get it off, you'd have to take your yarn out and slip it back through. Oh, can't tell if that's a car or work. Oh, we'll see. We'll finish this one and see. But I think that will work pretty nicely, right? Then you don't have to have any extra gear. But if you are somebody who doesn't mind having a little extra something, or maybe you have some of these little carabiners, another option is to make this loop shorter and you can do the carabiner. Or I have this like invisible option right here. And I did this on another yarn cozy, but see right here, you can't really tell until you pull it up like that. But I created a little space by doing a bind off and then doing the I-cord like this. Oh, hold on just a second. Okay, I'm back. I got a different picnic table, but this spot is really, really great too. The park is a little more crowded now, so you may hear some people talking or some kids' voices. They're playing like beyond the camera, not behind me here. No kids on the camera here. Let's see if I can remember where we left off. I know I was talking about this. So I think I was explaining the wrist strap, and then we were talking about this little spot for the carabiner. And again, both of these modifications are on my project pages, but this one is more of the invisible one. I think when I put it in the pattern, I'm going to call it like the invisible loop or something like that. But yeah, it's really simple. There's just a little bind off that you do, and then you work a few rows of I-cord like free standing and then continue with the bind off. That's it. And then you can just take your carabiner and clip it on through. So great if you're already carrying a backpack. You can kind of like, I like to clip mine to the lower strap of my backpack so that it hangs at my hip. It doesn't seem to move or bounce around as much there. Okay, I think that's everything for this project. I had just about gotten it done before the mowing got super, super loud. So let's move on to the next one. I have been working mostly on my Sporti Shrug this week. So I worked on it a ton. I got through the whole body, and then I took sort of a break from it and a break from knitting. Honestly, I had some overuse of my thumb, feeling 100% now, so much better. But I picked up the sleeve this week, and I have worked quite a bit through sleeve number 1. So if this is your first time seeing this project, I know it looks really, really tiny, but it actually fits me. I have tried it on several times now. I've already blocked the body, I've already done the neck, I've already done the finishing on the bottom, and this is how long it's going to be. It is very short. It basically comes to like right here, but I've made it so that, I mean, that's how the pattern is. It's either a shrug or you can make the full-length sweater. There's also a tank top that goes with it. I am not making the tank top. That is a separate pattern, but I'm going to be wearing mine with an athletic tank top so that I can have it as a layer for when I'm hiking. Now, this sleeve cap is pretty cool, as is with the rest of the pattern. This is my first Jacqueline Sayslek pattern, and they're really, really cool. Instead of writing all the numbers in, like, you know how it'll say, you know, knit 5, and then it'll be like parentheses 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and you have to, you know, figure it out for your size. The way that they have it set up is it says knit blank, and there's literally a line so that you can write in a number, and then it just continues on with the instructions. So all the instructions are included, and then down below there is a chart, and on the chart you find your size and the number. And so that way the paragraph of instructions isn't cluttered by all of those different numbers. You go to the chart, it's very easy to find in the chart, and then you write the number in yourself. I really, really liked that. I don't think I've ever knit a pattern quite like that before, and I'm finding it really, really great, really functional. Like once I got used to it, it's a little bit different to get used to, but I'm really liking it. So the sleeve cap is very cool. It took me quite a few tries to understand it though. It was more me than anything else. I find that when I'm not understanding a pattern, I just need to set it aside and come back to it another time. And in the case of this sleeve cap, it took like 3 tries of that. So I tried it like twice in one day. I'm like, let me sleep on it. Let me look at it again the next morning. And then it just made sense. So you pick up the stitches all the way around the sleeve, but you don't start like right at the shoulder seam. You start a little ways back. And so just getting the whole setup with the different parts of the sleeve cap where I'm going to do short rows was just, it wasn't working in my brain until I eventually figured it out. But it's pretty cool the way that you start it out. I've never done this before. You do wrap and turn short rows, but instead of just working like 1 stitch in the wrap, you kind of work 2. I mean, I'm not going to give away the whole pattern, of course. If you could figure it out from my very bad instructions here, I'm impressed. But anyway, it was just really cool. Something new, something different, something I hadn't done before. So got the whole sleeve picked up. I think it looks very, very tidy. That is all credit to the pattern designer, but I'm also proud of myself for this. And then I have been working through the sleeve decreases. So you'll see here that I have, among the dog hair, a bunch of locking light bulb markers. There we go. Focus. So these markers I like to use anytime I'm doing any kind of a repeat. So in the case of this pattern, I am working 10 rounds just in the ribbing pattern, and then I'm doing a decrease round, and then I'm repeating that X number of times. So instead of like making hash marks on a piece of paper or something like that, I find this a lot easier. So what I do, the first marker here, and actually I kind of want to put a different color in here for the first marker because this one just indicates that I stopped working the short rows and I started working like just in the round. So I put this marker in here, and then I actually count the rows. So let me see if I can show you. It's going to be a little hard to show, but see how this stitch marker is in 1.5 stitches. I like to do 1.5 stitches because I just find it's easier for me to read it that way. And then that's like row 0, like it doesn't count in the next part of the repeat. So the row right above it is row 1, and then I just count. I can't actually see if I'm pointing to the right rows here, but I count like 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on above it. Then I work the decrease, and then as I'm working the next round, I put the next marker in the decrease round. So it's like, again, this marker here is 0, or in this case, it's the 11th round. I worked 10, round 11 is my decrease, and then I can start counting again from here. So right above it, I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, the marker goes in. And so I just do that. And then it makes it really easy for me. 1, I don't have to keep up with a piece of paper, but 2, I can look really quickly at a glance and I go, okay, this is where I started. So this is not a decrease. That's why I kind of want to put a different color in here. But then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 decreases done. I actually need to do 8, or no, sorry, I think I need to do 9. So just at a glance, it's very easy for me to tell where I'm at. So very pleased with this, still just loving the yarn. The yarn is from Ritual Dyes, and it is called Maven. The base is called Maven. It's a 2-ply Rambouillet. And this colorway is Chromite. It's somewhere on here. Where is it? There we go. Chromite. Still loving it so, so much. So these sleeves, gosh, there's ants everywhere. Some ants are going to fly today. These sleeves have thumb holes in them. And sleeves are always tricky, right? Especially long sleeves, because for every, every inch that you do, every inch longer, there is more opportunity for growth in that. Like if you have a short sleeve and you could do a couple of inches and it grows half an inch, like not a super big deal. If you have a 20-inch long sleeve, I have really long arms, a 20-inch long sleeve, and then it also grows by like half an inch for every 2 inches, that's like 4 inches or 5 inches. I just made all of that math up. But essentially, the longer the sleeve is, the more opportunity it has to grow because there's just more fabric there. So what I like to do with my sleeves, if there is a special kind of bind off, or in this case, there's a special, I don't know if you can hear the kids screaming, so funny. There is a special like technique that needs to be at a certain place at the end, right? Like my thumb hole needs to be where my thumb is. It can't be past it. It can't be before it. So if there's a special kind of bind off, like a sewn bind off or something, I'm not going to bind it off until I block it. I'm going to put it on some tubing or some yarn, and I'm going to block it first. And I want both sleeves done before I do this, because if I just have one sleeve done, the whole sweater is not going to line up how it will fit when I've got both of the sleeves. Like it's going to kind of shift over. Hi, Kent. It's going to kind of like shift over a little bit, right? So I want both sleeves done so the seams can line up in the center, so I can like feel where the sleeves are going to be, block it, and then I'll do those final bits. So for the bind offs, I don't like to unpick a sewn bind off, so I wait to do the bind off until I'm sure my sleeve is done. Most of the time, I need to go back. I need to add another inch or take away an inch or something like that. So what I'm planning, all of that to say, what I'm planning for this is I'm going to work the sleeve all the way through the decreases. I think there's a little bit of knitting after the decreases to get you to the base of the thumb, and then I'm going to stop. I'm going to leave my ball of yarn attached. I'm going to put it on some tubing, and then I'm going to work the second sleeve, again, all the way through the decreases to the thumb so that they're in the same place, and then I'm going to block this sweater again. I'm blocking it because I want to release the tension and the stitches, smooth it out, see how much it's going to stretch widthwise and lengthwise, and then I'll try it on again once it's dry. And I might even leave it on for like an hour or so, just with the little tubing on. Maybe I'll do some computer work, because not only will things grow in blocking, but they also grow when you wear them. So of course I'm not going to wear this for like weeks on end with it unfinished, but if I can wear it for like an hour or something, that will help. So then I'll be able to see like, okay, I've got both sleeves on now. Like, are the sleeves coming up to here like they do on this shirt? Or are they coming down to the base of the thumb where I need them? Then I'll be able to tell a little better. Do I need to add a little bit? Do I need to take a little bit away? And then I'll finally finish out, do the thumb holes, and like block the whole thing again. So I am a big proponent of blocking sweaters or things that fit in the middle of the project, because it's just not, it's not worth wasting my own time. It's not worth wasting your time by guessing. And I would much rather like take my time, take the time to block, and wait for it to dry and wait to do all of that and get something that I'm happy with, rather than have to pull things back millions of times. Just spilled some water on myself. Don't worry about that. Okay, I have another cozy project. So I have been so disciplined, and I have always been finishing my cozies before starting the next ones, at least for the month of May, for this cozy along. So join us for the cozy along. There's still time to join us. We're going all the way through May 31st. I started another knit e-reader cozy. So this one is almost exactly like the one that I made for myself, except it's smaller. So same yarn, same pattern, but a little bit smaller. So the yarn I'm using is from Super Glow Fiber, and it's called Rain Glow. It's a DK weight yarn. This pattern is by Leslie, who I've partnered up with for the cozy along, and you can actually do this pattern with fingering weight too if you hold it double. So she's got the grams and the yardage that you need in the pattern for both fingering weight and DK weight yarn. So when I made my first one, I cast on the number of stitches for the Kindle Paperwhite. There's 3 different sizes of Kindles in the e-reader cozy pattern. Plus, there's a gauge calculator that Leslie created so you can adjust it to fit your e-reader or even other things that you have. I've seen people make phone cases, notebook cases, iPad cases, tablet cases, all kinds of things. So when I did my first one, it came out a little too big. Even though I already went down a needle size, I went down to a size 3, it still came out too big. So I used my first one and I set it down and I set my empty Kindle on top of it. So the first one I made, it fits my Kindle when it's in its case, but I wanted to make one for my mom, I don't think she has a case. Actually, now that I'm saying that, I'm not sure. So I wanted to make one for my mom. So I'll just bring both of them home. I'm going to be home in a few weeks and I'll just see which one she wants, which one fits her Kindle better. But anyway, I wanted to make one for a Kindle that doesn't have a case on it. So I kind of lined it up, like I laid it down, lined up my Kindle on top, and I looked, I'm like, okay, I need to actually take away like 4 stitches widthwise across, which translates to 8 total stitches round, right? So then that ended up being the same size as the smaller cozy in the pattern. So that worked out great. So it looks really small, but I did try it on this morning and it fits great. It fits on the Kindle perfectly and it's so cute. And it's working up really fast that I have 8 fewer stitches. So love this pattern. Really simple, really easy to do. I also bought some elastic at Walmart. I just got like the really skinny kind of cord, I think it was called like bead elastic, because when you're a kid, you know, you like string beads on the little elastic bracelets. So I think that's what it was for. So I bought that. I haven't tried it yet on my Kindle, but I will update you when I do. I brought over my blanket today because today it is not too hot. Remember last week when I was recording a podcast and it was like 85 degrees and I was in the sun? It was way too hot for me to bring the blanket out, but this week it's nice and chilly. Actually, now that I had to wait a couple of hours to film, I think it's like almost 60 degrees maybe. I'm in the shade though, so it still feels very, very, a little bit chilly and comfortable, in a comfortable kind of way. Okay, I have added, get this out of here. I have added in, 2 Hexies this week. Oh, I don't know how much I want to pull this out. I really don't want any ants in here. So let me show you these real fast. And then I have 2 more that I have started working on, but haven't added in yet. So the first that I did is from my friend Julie. She gifted it to me. Okay, hang on. I did not put this thing away properly. Normally I like fold it up really nice. Still hard to always find where I am. Oh boy. I think I'm almost there. Yes, here we go. Okay, so much for not putting it on the table with the ants. Okay, so I added these 2 this week. Oh, the lighting is so pretty here. So both of these yarns are from Gem State, who is an Idaho dyer, and my friend Julie gifted these to me. So they were 2 mini skeins and they just said salmon and sage. So I'm assuming that this one is salmon and this one is sage, but you can see the multicolored one has like the salmony color in it. It's very, very pretty. And I might as well show this while I'm standing up. That's the back. It's looking good, growing little by little. Shake off the ants here. Let's see, I'm keeping it still in a satin pillowcase because I just think that it helps prevent like a lot of friction, but then to keep it protected like from the sun and also just to be easy to pick up, I'm throwing it in my Cowgirl yarn bag. I will do that in just a minute though. Okay, 2 more that I started working on. Getting so many bits of trees in this. Let me just do that real quick. I started working on these, but I just didn't get the chance to add them in. This is not a project that is easy to work on while we're driving, and we've been doing a ton more driving than usual lately. And it's hard to work on it like in the front seat anyway, because I need a lot of space with the blanket, but also Toaster is almost always in my lap now. So I need a small project to work on while we're driving. So I have 2 yarns that I am about to add in. I'll just share them now because they will look pretty similar once I get them in the blanket. The first is from Storyteller Yarns, and these are both my Nevada. Oh yeah, apologies to the entire state of Nevada for pronouncing your state wrong. I know I said it wrong. I know I said it wrong last week. And the reason is that I thought for sure that Nevada, why can't I do it? Like literally I've always said Nevada until recently because I was like, oh, if Nevada's in my head, then it's wrong, so it must be Nevada. And so I've been practicing saying Nevada in my head so many times that now it's hard for me to say it correctly. It's Nevada, I know it's Nevada, and I will probably mess it up again. These are my Nevada yarns. This one is Storyteller. I got this one at Jimmy Bean's Wool, and this colorway is called Coastal. And yes, Reno, Nevada, right? Reno, Nevada is not on the coast of like an ocean, but they are right by Lake, oh shoot, what is the lake called? What is the lake called? Why can't I think of it? Lake Tahoe. I got it. I had to look it up. I also scooted down a little bit so I can be a little more in the shade. Okay, I should really start this whole segment over, but you know what? We're not going to do that because that's not what happened. This is real life. This yarn is called Coastal, and I got it because I was thinking of Lake Tahoe. Keep wanting to call it Lake Placid. I'm really in my head today, but look how pretty it is. I love how it's working up. So it's all ready to go into the blanket to be attached now. When you're working the last round, you attach it into the blanket. Now, Storyteller is technically in Tahoe, California, so it doesn't qualify as a Nevada yarn, like perfectly for my blanket. I want to have at least one yarn that is actually hand dyed in that state for every single state. So I was like, well, I want to also get a Nevada yarn. So I got this one. And this is Archaic Fibers. We first saw them in California, actually. So I was excited to get another chance to get some yarn. And this colorway is called the Side of Brightness. I believe they name all of their colorways after songs. And I don't know the song, but maybe you do. And I just thought this color was kind of perfect for Nevada. It seemed kind of deserty and I don't know, it just seemed kind of right. So it's really subtle, but it's got so many beautiful undertones in there, kind of purpley, blue, kind of terracotta-y. So I really, really like that one. So these two will also be going into the blanket. We're going to be traveling through a couple of yarn stores, I think, this week. So things are going good on the blanket. Like I had for a time where I was adding in way too many hexies. I was buying way too much yarn because we were going to a lot of yarn stores, but now we're kind of going to just a few per state. So I think I can carry on with this one blanket without having to start a new one. For the next couple of weeks, we are doing a huge national park tour. We've already been going to tons of national parks, but this next couple of weeks is like some of the really big ones. And also we're just going to a lot and we're doing fewer yarny things, but it's really fun. Like as we started driving out to our first national park last week, I just was feeling so excited and feeling so calm and feeling so just like peaceful about going into nature, going somewhere where there is not really cell service. And I knew we were going to be outside. I knew that I wouldn't have access to work. There's just something about it that is really healing. And I'm shocked that I feel that way because I never would have considered myself to be outdoorsy until this year. Like this trip has changed that about me, and I love it. It's so fun. So we started out this week in the lake that I can't remember, Lake Tahoe. Not in it, but we drove around it. So before that, actually, I should mention, we went to Jimmy Bean's Wool. in Reno, Nevada, and we filmed a store tour there. So yarn store tours are back, by the way. We are now doing them on Saturdays. I'm premiering them so that we can live chat. They will be at noon Eastern on Saturdays, not every Saturday, but starting out, we're kind of like building up to it. We're kind of doing it every other Saturday situation. And then as we get more filmed, they will start being every Saturday. But basically you can just listen here in the podcast if there's going to be one, or look on Instagram. So we will have that Jimmy Beans wool one in July because we still have some we haven't released yet that we need to put out first. But anyway, we filmed at Jimmy Beans. It was wonderful. If you don't know about Jimmy Beans, they're not just a storefront. They are a huge online store. They have so many fun things, and we got to see through all their warehouses, and I got to meet Laura, who is Jimmy, and we got to interview Laura. It was just really, really fun. And then we drove around Lake Tahoe. So Lake Tahoe was really beautiful. We did not stop. We just, we stopped to look at it, but basically we just drove on by because we were headed out to Yosemite National Park. So this was actually our second time at Yosemite. We were there 6 weeks ago when it was cold, and we left because of snow. We stayed one night and then we left. So it was very different this time. It was honestly even better than before. It was so green and so beautiful. We did a short hike, and then we stayed at the campground. And we were right by the river, and the river was super high because of all the snow melt, and the waterfalls were still going. And it was just a really great night. Like, we just made a fire. Kent made a fire. He's getting really good at making fires, and we just super enjoyed that time. The weather was perfect. It was like warm during the day, like maybe 75, and then nice and cool at night, cool enough to have a fire, not be freezing, but also not be hot. So it was just lovely. We also did a hike the next day, the Mirror Lake hike, which was really cool and really fun. We then went to Sequoia and Kings Canyon. These were a little chillier. We're getting a little higher in elevation, but it was a beautiful drive on the way there. I also learned that sequoia trees are the largest tree by wood mass. They are not the tallest. Redwoods are the tallest, and redwoods are the largest circumference wise. I think it was a little bit confusing. It kept having 3 trees, and it was like redwoods are the tallest and sequoias are the largest, and then something else is something I can't remember. Ken could probably tell you. But yeah, sequoia's trees are huge. They're massive. Very, very big. Sequoia and Kings Canyon are connected. So we went from Sequoia in the morning to Kings Canyon in the afternoon. The coolest part about Kings Canyon was getting to walk through a giant tree. So there are 2 trees that we walked through. One was laying on its side, and it was like solid. It wasn't hollowed out. They had just kind of cut this like doorway into it, which was really neat. And then the one in Kings Canyon was I guess it had maybe died, it had hollowed out, and you can walk directly from end to end of the tree trunk. And that was super, super cool. And it just kind of goes to show just how big these trees are, that a human adult can walk through the middle of it and not hit their head. So cool. We next went to Lassen National Park. These are all in California, by the way. We kind of drove through this really pretty area that was very prairie-like. Actually, we keep seeing prairie dogs. Kent keeps seeing them because I don't pay as good of attention to the road since I'm not driving. I'm working on my phone or knitting or something. And Kent's like, there's a prairie dog, there's a prairie dog. Prairie dogs are tiny. I don't know what I expected them to be bigger, like a, what's the one that comes out? Oh, like a groundhog? No, wait, that is a groundhog. This is what goes on in my brain, seriously, all the time. I expected groundhogs to be bigger, more like a beaver or something like that, but they are very small. Anyway, sometimes when I talk, I just sound so ridiculous. Anyway, Lassen was great. There was a lot of snow at Lassen Volcano though, so a lot of it was still closed. But the interesting things I learned about Lassen, is that it's the only place on Earth that has all 4 types of volcanoes. I actually didn't know there were different types of volcanoes, but Lassen has all 4 of them. Because of the snow, you couldn't drive from one end of the park to the other. So we took another route where you go like an hour and a half around the park. Very, very cool. Then we went to Lava Beds. Oh wait, was Lassen where we saw? I think I'm forgetting to add something in my notes here. I believe it was Lassen that had these, I should look at my pictures. These like mud pits or something like that. I think that's what they're called. I take so many pictures, not just for you guys, but for us as well, that they all run together just a little bit. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, okay. So this is so cool. So there are these like sulfur mud pits that are just, bubbling like boiling water, it's because it's kind of thicker. It reminded me of like a witch's cauldron, just bubbling, bubbling, and they are right by you on the road. So it was really cool. I've never seen anything quite like that before, and really enjoyed that. Okay, so then we went to Lava Beds National Monument. The really interesting thing about Lava Beds is that it doesn't look like, it looks nothing like Lassen. Lassen has like those classic volcanoes that you kind of picture, except there's snow around them. Lava Beds looks like a prairie. It's very grassy. You can see like a few volcanic rocks, but it's deceiving because the volcanic activity that is not above ground, really. It's mostly below ground, at least in the part of the park that we were in. And the eruption that happened there created all of these tunnels and caves underground. So that's what Lava Beds is all about. You can go caving, you can rent a helmet, you have to take your flashlight and like crawl through the caves. Yeah, we were not going to do any of that. There was one cave from the visitor center that you did not need a helmet and you did not need to take a flashlight because it was like dimly lit. So we did that one. It was a really short cave, but it was cool because you're walking just on ground level and all of a sudden there's a set of stairs that just go into the ground. Very cool. Not great if you don't like small dark spaces, but it was very, very neat. Our last national park of the week was Crater Lake National Park. We've actually been to this one before because Kent's mom used to live in Oregon, so we would come and visit her. The thing about Crater Lake, though, is it's a lake that is on the very top of a mountain. And as its name implies, it is actually made from a crater. So this is also a volcanic area. It was a volcano that erupted, but like instead of exploding, I guess, it collapsed. So it collapsed and created, I think in the video it said a 4,000 foot crater or something like that. And eventually over thousands and thousands of years and snow melts and everything, it created this incredible, beautiful lake. The lake is so, so blue, and it's so blue because it's very pure water. There aren't any streams or anything, there aren't any rivers that run into it or out of it. It's all contained from snow melt and seepage and all kinds of things. And so it's very pure water. The visibility is really good. And it's also, let me make sure I'm right about this, the deepest lake in the United States. It's at the top of a mountain though. So there's a lot of snow. So it's hard to get to Crater Lake, or it can be hard to get to Crater Lake because typically it's only going to be open for a couple of months a year. So they were just opening up the lodge. A lot of the driving was still not open. The visitor center was you had to go through a tunnel of snow to get into the visitor center. The snow was taller than Lydia, and Lydia is 9 feet tall. So yeah, it was very, very snowy, but we could still get to a viewpoint to see the lake. Toaster got out in the snow a little bit. It was really fun. Typically they get about 44 feet of snow on average, which is a lot of snow. And this year they got like 50 something. So they have even more snow this year, but it was a really cool one. So this week has been just lovely. So many parks. I think we're now at 36 national parks and 80 NPS sites. So there are monuments and historical sites that are run by the National Park Service that aren't national parks. And so we are hitting a ton of them and more to come this week. Let's wrap things up with some news before my friend the lawnmower comes back over here because they keep like coming and zigzagging, but we can make this one quick. Okay, most important thing. The Sock Week sponsor reveal is next Tuesday. Last week I said Tuesday, May 26th. That was wrong. It's Tuesday, May 28th. I don't know where I got May 26th from. Clearly somewhere in some of my notes I have the wrong date, but it is next Tuesday and it is May 28th, but the time of the video is going to be different. So since I am premiering this video, that means the video itself is pre-recorded, but I am airing it live. So I will be there live in the chat, answering questions. We can see all of the Sock Week sponsors revealed and products together. This bird is very close. And that's gonna be at later than my usual time. So it's gonna be at 12 p.m. Eastern time or 9 a.m. Pacific time. So if you can join us live, great. You can come join us live. After that though, the video goes up just like normal. So you can also watch it at a later time. And then the Sock Week products do not go on sale next Tuesday. There is a whole week and a half until they go on sale. They will go on sale June 7th. So don't stress if you can't make it live for the video. I know it's during the work day. You will have plenty of time to watch it, make a plan for anything that you might want to purchase. And then the items are going to go live on Friday, June 7th. Last week, or actually not last week, Tuesday, I put out a video about knitting and hiking. This was a really fun one for me to make because this is just something that's, again, unexpected that I like to go and hike. Like I never would have thought I would like to do that. So I had so much fun going back through photos of all of the hikes that we've taken this year to include in that video. But the video itself just has 5 tips. I took questions from Instagram and then I put together these tips to help you if you are somebody who maybe wants to take your knitting on a walk or on a hike or just take your knitting outside, and kind of some steps to get you there if that's something that you want to do. If you're like, I'm never gonna do that, 1, don't say never because I felt the same way. But 2, you may enjoy the video if you just want to kind of see a review of some of the different places that we have gone to over the past few months, because really it was only in February that we started hiking. All right, let's get into some, what are they called? Events. Every single week I'm adding more and more events to this list, and I always have them down below with links so you can, find the ones that are local to you and see all of the details. So this one's new. I just added this one. This is the Slow Yarn Crawl P&W. It's in Washington and Oregon from May 24th to September 2nd. The Cowboy Yarn Crawl in Wyoming is also May 27th to September 2nd. Well, not also, but it starts in May. The Virginia Blue Ridge Yarn Crawl is in Virginia, May 25th through June 1st. Flag Wool and Fiber Festival is happening in Flagstaff, Arizona, June 1st and 2nd. The Golden State Yarn Crawl is in Northern California, June 6th through the 9th. The Utah Yarn Crawl is happening July 13th through the 20th. The Arkansas Yarn Crawl is July 19th through the 27th. The Chicago Yarn Crawl is July 20th through the 28th. And the Boston Fiber Festival, this is a smaller one, this is also new this week, is in the SOWA Market on September 8th. If you have any fiber festivals, yarn crawls, anything you want to share, please send me an email. Email is the best place to communicate with me, nittynatty@gmail.com. Thank you so much for watching this episode. Thanks for dealing with the moving around and the noises outside. It's always an adventure. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.